Hi, Nutrition Science students. Welcome to the presentation for Chapter 1, which is just an introductory chapter. For many of you, this may not be your first time in a nutrition course, so this information will be a review for you. However, I want to lay this foundation for those who may not have had a course in the subject or for those who don't feel their foundation is very stable. So let's jump right on into the course. This presentation will cover a good bit of basic nutritional information, including the importance of nutrition, the 6 classes of nutrients, how we use food as fuel, and how to actually calculate food energy, why our diets matter, and a few key nutrition concepts to get us started on our class journey. There are a couple of quotes I included here, and I find them to be pretty inspiring. The first is, "A healthy outside starts from the inside." And as it applies to our class, what you choose to eat and how you choose to fuel your body will impact the way your body behaves, the way you feel, and even the way you look. The second quote is by a 19th century British statesman, Edward Stanley, who said, "Those who think they have no time for healthy eating will sooner or later have to find time for illness." He was well ahead of his time, as we know this to be true today. We must make the time to eat healthy, and sometimes that's not always very easy, because recurring unhealthy choices can eventually be detrimental to our bodies. And it's quite possible, like I said earlier, that you already understand the basics of nutrition and that you feel you know what makes a diet healthy. Well, nutrition is defined as the scientific study of nutrients and how the body uses them. Now, everywhere we look, we are bombarded with nutrition information, whether on TV, social media, from friends, or family, or by just walking into a supermarket. So, why continue to study something for which we have so much information? My take on this is, first, not that we don't have a plethora of nutrition information in our daily lives, but we seem to be getting handed more misinformation than anything. Second, Americans are consuming more added fats, oils, and sugars than ever and are not getting enough vegetables, fruits, whole grains, and dairy. Because of our unhealthy diets, we're seeing obesity and adult diseases like type 2 diabetes arising in our younger populations. Understanding the key nutrients we consume and how to choose food that meet our dietary recommendations is key to being our very best healthy selves. Now, we can't study nutrition without understanding the nutrients we consume on a daily basis. Foods are what we need for survival. Those are the meals or snacks we eat every day that are sources of our biological fuels. Foods contain those nutrients that provide energy to our cells, which are needed to carry out our everyday activities. Intentional ones like walking to class, studying, or exercising, and the ones that sustain our life that we really don't think about, like breathing, sleeping, and even shivering. Let's take a closer look at the 6 classes of nutrients that our bodies need. So, the 6 classes of nutrients that we'll repeatedly discuss in our class, and of which you should take special note, are carbohydrates, fats, proteins, water, vitamins, and minerals. Our book and assigned readings will dive deeper into each one of these topics in the coming weeks. Each of these nutrients has generally one or more functions in our bodies and are used for energy, growth, and development, regulations of body processes, which includes the maintenance and repair of cells as well. Now, all the nutrients we consume are in some way important to our health, but some nutrients can be synthesized within the body, like cholesterol from acetyl-CoA, vitamin D from sunlight, niacin from the amino acid tryptophan, and vitamin K from the bacteria in our gut. Now, those nutrients that can't be synthesized by the body, or those that are not synthesized in high enough quantities by our bodies, are known as essential nutrients and must be supplied by our bodies. Now, how have we determined that some of the nutrients that we consume are considered essential? Well, here's an example. The man that you see on the slide is suffering from a condition known as beriberi, a deficiency of vitamin B1 normally found in fish, meats, and whole grains. Now, one of the results of beriberi is muscle weakness, which is what appears to be happening in this photo. Now, nutrition scientists use the following factors to determine whether or not a nutrient is essential. Does a deficiency disease arise if the nutrient is missing from somebody's diet? So, if you don't consume the nutrient, does something detrimental happen to you? If you add the nutrient back to your diet, does the deficiency resolve? In other words, if you eat the nutrient, do those symptoms you were experiencing go away? And then, after taking these factors into account, can scientists then identify the nutrient specific role and why abnormalities occurred when the nutrient was missing in the diet? Sometimes non essential nutrients can become conditionally essential under certain conditions. We'll discuss some of these later, but an example would be arginine, an amino acid whose breakdown helps with lowering blood pressure. So, if a person has a catabolic condition that interferes with protein breakdown, they may need to supplement their diets with arginine and arginine containing foods. Along with classifying nutrients on their it's a hard word to say, an essentiality, we can break nutrients down into how much of them our bodies need. Now, nutrients needed in large amounts are considered macronutrients. So you see that the word macro means large. So these are carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. And the other class is micronutrients, or those nutrients needed by our bodies in smaller amounts, like vitamins and minerals. The macronutrients are the ones that provide our bodies with energy in the form of calories, while the micronutrients actually do not. So, vitamins and minerals, while you may feel better when you're consuming the appropriate amounts of them, they are not actually providing you with any sort of energy in the form of calories. Or they don't have calories, excuse me. So, another class of nutrients, the phytochemicals, though not essential, are noteworthy. In the strictest sense, these are chemicals produced by plants that may affect your health. Though there is a good bit of evidence that shows that fruits, vegetables, legumes, nuts, and whole grains are beneficial to our health, evidence that confirms health benefits from specific phytochemicals is very limited. Scientists are constantly studying the potential benefits of phytochemicals as antioxidants and free radical scavengers. And I've provided some optional reading on this topic within Module 1 if you're interested in learning more about phytochemicals. Now, the amount of energy you need daily comes primarily from the 3 macronutrients, and in order to understand how we use food as fuel, we must first understand the basic unit of energy. So, food energy is measured in kilocalories, but for simplifying food labels, we usually see it written as calories with a lowercase c, meaning that each calorie is multiplied by 1,000, equal to a kilocalorie. If you ever see the word calorie with a capital C, that is equivalent to a kilocalorie. Now, how do we determine how many calories are in a particular food? This is done via direct calorimetry using a device called a bomb calorimeter. You can see there's a picture here on the screen. This is quite fascinating, and I've provided within Module 1 a short video that goes through the process of someone using a bomb calorimeter, and I suggest you watch it because if you've never seen it happen, like I said, it's quite interesting. So now that we're aware that the macronutrients provide energy in the form of calories, how many calories do they provide? Well, carbohydrates provide 4 kilocalories per gram of carbohydrate. Protein provide 4 kilocalories per gram, and fat is a bit different. So keep in mind that fat provides 9 kilocalories per gram of fat. Alcohol provides 7 kilocalories per gram, but is not considered a nutrient since it is not needed by the body to survive. Now, I like to incorporate real world examples in these lectures, so let's take a look at how we could calculate calories in a food product. I chose the Nature Valley Crunchy Granola Bars for this example because many of you may enjoy these or have them in your dorm or home right now. This food, not unlike others, consists of carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. If you were to look at the food label, you would see that per serving there are 29 grams of carbs, 7 grams of fat, and 3 grams of protein. Now, how many calories are provided by each nutrient? For this example, all we need to do is multiply the grams of each nutrient by the number of calories each macronutrient provides. So we can see that 29 grams of carbohydrate times the 4 kilocalories per gram would equal 116 kilocalories. We do the same thing for fat and protein. So 7 grams of fat multiplied by 9 kilocalories per gram equals 63 kilocalories, and 3 grams of protein times the 4 kilocalories per gram equals 12. Now, if we add these individual numbers together, we can determine the total number of calories in one serving, which in this case is 191 kilocalories per serving. Why does this number differ from the number on the food label that you see on the right? It says that a serving is 2 bars and it provides 190 calories, not the 191 we calculated. Well, the FDA actually has rounding rules for food labels, and a product with greater than 50 calories per serving, if it has 50 calories or more per serving, the count must be rounded to the nearest 10 increment. So you should now be able to look at virtually any food label to see how the total number of calories is derived. So, proper nutrition, physical activity, and a healthy lifestyle are essential for good health. Risk of chronic illness is impacted by both your genetics or those factors that you inherit from your family members and the lifestyle that you lead. There's a very sound body of research that connects poor nutrition and inactivity to preventable diseases and early death. Now, to monitor the health of our entire nation, the U.S. government publishes a report every 10 years called Healthy People. And right now we're on Healthy People 2030, which provides science-based objectives to improve health and wellness and health and well-being, over the next decade. It consists of 359 objectives. That's topics range from addiction to foodborne illness to heart disease and stroke. Now, how do these relate to our class? Part of improving the health of all Americans is encouraging a healthy lifestyle, which includes sensible eating patterns. I've provided the web address to the current Healthy People objectives if you're so inclined to learn more. It's a lot of reading. Now, I've included this slide in our presentation, but I would prefer you read the article I presented within Module 1 on the factors that influence our eating habits. I always find this quite interesting and hope you do as well. There are a range of factors that impact the way we eat, from biological factors to psychological ones and to environmental factors. The article focuses mainly on the eating behaviors of college students, so it's probably applicable to you and your lifestyle. Now, as you're aware, most foods are a mix of nutrients, but certain foods contain more beneficial nutrients than others. Let's take a look at these concepts. Foods like fruits and vegetables are considered nutrient dense, meaning that they provide a relatively low number of calories per serving compared to the amount of beneficial nutrients they provide. The strawberry and broccoli would definitely be considered nutrient dense. For instance, strawberries supply a low number of calories while at the same time providing vitamin C, antioxidants, fiber, and potassium. The donut seen here would not be considered nutrient dense. The donut provides added fats, sugars, and processed oils and supplies 250 basically empty calories. Now, the term energy dense is a bit different as it refers to the amount of energy a food provides per gram of food. So, a 100-gram donut provides about 250 calories, so is quite energy dense for its weight in comparison to strawberries. But keep in mind that not all energy dense foods are unhealthy. For instance, walnuts are quite high in calories as compared to their weight. However, walnuts are also nutrient dense since they provide folic acid, copper, phosphorus, and vitamin B6, to name just a few of its benefits. Now, another important nutritional concept is that our bodies need foods from a wide variety of sources, since no one food contains all of the nutrients that we need. Achieving balance in our diets means that we don't consume just one nutrient, that we don't consume one nutrient at the expense of another. For example, ingesting calcium is necessary for healthy teeth and bones, but if you ingest too much of it, it'll interfere with the absorption of iron. So, to get the necessary amounts of calcium and iron from your diet, a proper balance between the foods you choose is crucial. Now, eating in moderation means that we are monitoring our food portions. It's important not to consume nutrient poor foods at every meal because clearly this will lead to health complications. However, I never tell my students to avoid all enjoyable foods. For instance, birthday cake. That's one of my favorite things to eat. I just don't eat it every single night. Life would be no fun without some of our fun foods. So, moderation is definitely key. Now, the last topic I want to touch on is that food is by far the best source of nutrients. And by food, I mean whole foods and those foods that are minimally processed. Too often, people want to take the easy way out and turn directly to dietary supplements instead of consuming a variety of foods. Now, there are definitely instances where dietary supplements are important, especially for those who may need higher amounts of nutrients than what they can consume in food. However, keep in mind that dietary supplements are not regulated in the same way that prescription medications are. And in fact, the FDA usually takes retroactive action when a dietary supplement is found to be unsafe. In other words, the supplement is already on the market. And keep in mind that dietary supplements are definitely not cure-alls. Now, I didn't cover every topic within this chapter, but many of them. Recall that nutrition is the study of nutrients and how our bodies use them. There are 6 classes of nutrients. Some of the macronutrients, we went over the macronutrients and we went over the micronutrients. We learned what a calorie actually is and how to calculate calories. Although I did not discuss the factors that influence our food choices in the presentation, it's my hope you will read the article that I provided about it. We also covered some key nutrition concepts like balance, variety, and moderation, nutrient and energy dense foods, and finally, dietary supplements, which we'll look at further in the vitamins and minerals chapters. If you have any questions at all, please reach out and I'll be happy to assist you. Again, this is probably a review for you, and all of the information I provided within Canvas should be quite helpful. I also encourage you to use the outline that I provided and fill in the blanks as you read your weekly information. Again, if you have questions, please just let me know.